Hi, everyone. Welcome. We are so glad that you're here today. Today's webinar is going to be covering the estimating feature inside House Pro. So we're going to cover all of the basics of using the estimates feature. My name's Abby, and I'm on the product marketing team here at House. So what that means is that I work very closely with contractors like yourselves, as well as interior designers, to learn from you guys about what features you like, what features you want to see more of, what functionalities you need, and that sort of thing. And then from there, I take that and share that with our engineering team so that we can make improvements that will impact your workflow. So again, thank you so much for being here today. And Orion, I will pass it over to you for you to introduce yourself.
Thanks, Abby. My name is Orion. I'm on the client success team here at House. So I'm the client success manager. Some of you might know me. I might have managed your accounts before. So I'm here working one-on-one with our professional community, making sure that they're able to utilize the House tools to their fullest potential and they can really scale their business with this software.
Awesome. Yes. So as a note, we're going to be sending out a recording of this after the webinar. So don't feel like you have to take a bunch of notes. And if you have any questions as we go along, feel free to drop those into the chat or the Q&A tab, and we will respond to those promptly. So just to give you a little bit of an overview, first, we're going to talk about how to get started with our estimates functionality, how to send for approvals. We'll talk a little bit about progressive invoicing, AI estimates, Takeoff estimates, as well as assemblies. So we'll give you some tips and tricks, best practices, and that sort of thing. But from here, I will let you take over, Orion. Thank y'all again for being here.
So I'm on my House Pro homepage here. There are a few different ways that we can get started with creating an estimate. From this homepage, there is this create new section, and I can create an estimate directly from this page. When I do go to create the estimate, it will ask me to assign it to a project so we know where that estimate needs to go, and then I can fully create it from this screen. I can also create an estimate from the lead section and on an individual lead. When you do create an estimate on a lead, and then you convert that lead into a project, the estimate will fully carry over to the project. So anything that you have on that lead, messages, estimates, 3D floor plan, all of that will be brought over when you convert this to a project. Another way that you're able to create estimates is going to be from your mobile app. So you can use the AI tool on the mobile app, or you can just create an estimate while you're on the go via the House Pro app. The way that we're going to create an estimate for the demo today is going to be within a project. So I'll go ahead and click into my project list, and I will use this first project here, the Lewis residence. Under the planning section, you will see estimates, and this is where I can go to begin creating my estimate for this client. There is this new estimate button, and this will show me all of the ways that I can create this. So I can create an estimate from scratch. I can upload an existing estimate that I already have. I can also create from a template that I've saved in my House Pro account. And then our newest feature is creating an estimate with our AI tool. I'll first demo this AI feature, which is really great. So this is going to prompt me to put into the AI tool what I need this estimate to be. I can also use this microphone if I want to talk to my computer. Again, you can do this from the app as well. For this, I'm going to do a 200 square foot kitchen remodel with high-end finishes, if I can type, like Viking and Wolf and quartzite counters. I'm going to ask the AI to create this estimate to replace all plumbing lines and wiring. Now I'm just going to click my generate items with AI, and this will build out a full estimate based on my prompt. It does take just a couple moments to create. Our automate tool is just thinking about this here real quickly. And then now I have my AI created estimate. At the top here, it's going to have my prompt. I can remove this. I can add more items via this automate tool. But as you can see, this is going to have my fully built out estimate line item by line item with costs. And then I can always go in here and adjust this or edit it as needed. pretty cool. Definitely saves you time. AI is the way of the future. I know I personally use it quite a bit. So really nice that we've now implemented it in our estimate tool, as well as in a lot of our other tools in House Pro. Abby, before I move on from the AI estimate, do we have any questions on it?
Nope, you are good to go.
Cool. So I'm just going to pop back in to my project and we'll create an estimate from scratch here. If I hover over the project name, this is going to give me my project menu, which is really nice. I just click on estimates. It's going to bring me back to this estimate page. From here, same thing. I'm going to create a new estimate from scratch. And then once this generates my estimate, you'll see that it's going to populate all of my business information here. It's going to populate my client's information as I've assigned my client, Brian Lewis, to this project. And then it will give me that estimate number. It will populate the date. And then from here, I can make edits to this general information section if needed. If I want to maybe say estimate on here, I can. Again, it will tell me that it's an estimate, but I can fully rename this estimate if needed. This is really helpful if maybe you're doing an estimate for the kitchen and then you have a separate one for the bathroom. You can fully just rename those and then you know what estimate's what. Again, the date here is going to be the date that I've created this. And then I can assign a due date as well. So I want my client to sign and approve this by Monday the 23rd. I'll go ahead and populate that date. There is now this sync to budget feature. So I'm sure that some of you have seen that budget tool in House Pro. So once I've created this estimate, I can make sure that it's automatically syncing to my budget, just saving me a little bit of time. And then this is going to be the status of my document. Right now we're in draft. Other statuses will be sent. So if I've sent that to my client, if the client has approved it, and then if I have invoiced this, it will tell me that it's been invoiced. So I know the exact status of my document. On this right-hand side here, we have the items that we can add to our estimate. So Automate AI, we just saw that functionality. It functions the exact same within an estimate, or if you're creating it from that new page. My items, this is going to be my item list that I have in House Pro. Right now, I'm looking at all of my items. I can look at just material. I can look at items that are just labeled labor. I can also do material and labor. I have products, services, and assemblies, so I can really kind of segment what I'm looking at. And then in this project, this will be any items that I have either clipped to this project, maybe an item I've added to a mood board, or maybe I have these items on a different document in the project. So I can quickly reference what's already on this project, what I've already talked to this client about. Here we have our brand catalogs. So you have the Home Depot catalog here. When I click on this, I have the Home Depot catalog. I can search in the search bar. If I log into my Pro Extra account, then I'm going to go ahead and have my Pro Extra pricing. We also have the average price catalog that you can utilize. Again, you can add different items and it will be the average price. Templates here, so I can add any items from templates that I have. If I go to a kitchen and bathroom template, here are all of the items. I can either add all 31 items, or maybe I just want to add this demolition section, so I can do that here. I'll just add all 31 items so we can take a look at this estimate. A newer feature that we've added is the recent estimates. So if I've created estimates previously, maybe I want to add items from that estimate. I don't want to dig through my item library. Now, when I click on recent estimates, this will show me all of the recent estimates I've created, the date that I've created those, and I can go ahead and add items from those estimates. Before I move on to adding items directly on the estimate, do we have any questions on that right rail?
Yes, we do have one question about Pro Extra pricing with the Home Depot catalog. So do you want to answer that or do you need me to?
Pro Extra pricing, it's if you have a Pro Extra account with Home Depot, they will give you professional pricing versus consumer pricing.
Exactly. Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, of course. And then on the estimate itself, so if I need to add an item directly to an estimate, a couple different ways I can do it. I can type in here to add an item. I can either add an existing item or create a new item. Let's say I need to add in a window. I can type window. It's going to pull up items that are already in my item list, or I can just click create new item and it will create this for me. So I'll just add one that I already have. This will add to the bottom of the estimate. Oops, sorry, my internet is a little laggy here. But this will add to the bottom of the estimate. Maybe I want to move this. I can just click and drag, and then I'd be able to move that item to where I need it to go on the estimate. So I can adjust what this looks like. The other thing that I can do, let's say that maybe I want to add an item, but I want it to be below the waterproofing. So I can click on this little plus button and it will allow me to add an item below this item here. And then I can type in whatever I need this to be. Let's see. And then I can add that here. With the columns, so similar to how I was able to drag and drop the line items, I can do the exact same with my columns if I need to rearrange them. Little 6 dots here, it's going to give me this hand. I can drag and drop and rearrange those columns as needed. You will see some columns have this eye with the line through it. This means that it's only visible to me. The client will not see this. We can adjust these when we preview the document. We'll do that in a few moments, but just a call out here if you're curious what that means. It means it's just visible to you in that edit mode. If I need to customize the columns that I see here, I can click on this customize button, and this will show me all of the columns that I have, and then I can turn on or off the specific columns based on my needs for this document. I can also add my own custom columns if needed. I'll toggle on item images just so you can see what that looks like. If I click save, now it's going to show me these item images here, and then I can click in and add an image if I want to. So just kind of to show you what it will look like if you do turn a specific feature on. Next to customize, you also have your create item button. It's going to be the exact same as adding an item. This will give us a little pop-up though, where we can add details of whatever this item is that we need to be added to our estimate. And then when I'm done, just click create and this will create for me. Let's say I need, it's going to be material. And then I can do this in interior doors. I'm going to create that as a category. Here I can add my vendor or sub that's assigned to this item, SKU, description, all of that. Click create. This will add to my estimate. This view by category button. So this is going to allow me to view my items based on the categories that I've put them in my library. So you can see preliminaries, that's a category. Demolition is another category. I can do it by section, or I can also do this with no categorization. I see it the most where professionals are wanting to show it by category. It's a little bit more organized that way. It kind of helps their breakdown. So we'll just default it back to category. I also have an add category button. So sometimes you might have an item on your document that's not assigned to a category. I can always add a new category if needed. This button here is going to allow me to adjust the spacing on my estimate. Right now I'm in single spacing. Maybe I want double. Again, this is just going to give me a little bit more room on that line item, space things out a little bit more. Of course, your undo and redo button. And then we have our assembly button. So you can create an assembly directly from an invoice. Really what we see assemblies that are created. A lot of times it'll be like a comprehensive plumbing service. Maybe you want to create it for like a kitchen design package that includes all of the components that you need for that kitchen design. We also see it for like maybe bathroom tile, or maybe I need to create one for a door with all of the components that are required for that door. So that's where we will see this assembly feature. If I click create assembly, this will now create this assembly for me. I can rename this assembly and then add the items directly on my invoice, or I'm sorry, my estimate. And then if I need to delete an item, if I click on these three dots here, I have remove. And then up at the top, I can save this assembly to my library. If you're creating an assembly on an estimate, it will not save to your library unless you're going in and clicking save to library. I can duplicate this item. I can copy it. And then here, as you can see, this eye is showing the assemblies by default are going to hide all of the items to my client. So I can always show the breakdown to the client if I want by clicking this button, or I can leave it defaulting so that they just see the assembly item. I can collapse the groups, expand the groups, and then here again, I can add an item above or an item below. I can choose this to a new category, and this is going to show me all of the categories that are on this invoice, or oh my gosh, I keep calling it an invoice, on this estimate already. So you can choose whichever category you want that to be in. And then from here, you can also create this item onto an invoice. You can create a change order for this line item, or I can create a purchase order for this individual line item that I've clicked on those three dots for. And then ungroup, if I've grouped these into a category, I can always ungroup those. And then again, we talked about our little remove button. I'll remove this assembly from my estimate, and then I will create an assembly in our product library. Before I pop over to the product library to create the assembly, do we have any questions?
So just to confirm for Jerry, you can use assemblies on both invoices and estimates, right?
That is correct, yes. Yeah, the invoice functionality is going to be very similar, pretty much the same as the estimate functionality. So yes.
Perfect. You're good to keep going.
Awesome. I'm just going to pop out of our estimate quickly so that we can create an assembly. So where you can find your assemblies is going to be under company. You're going to go to my items. You can see this is my library. So I'll click on my items. And then I'm going to click assembly here, and I want to create a new assembly. And then I'm going to name this. So I'll name this pre-hung interior door. Oh my gosh. Sorry, my keyboard is like not working here. And then I'm going to add this to my interior door category. My description is going to be the interior door material and labor. And then unit. So unit is going to be very important. I want to make sure that I'm assigning the correct unit type, especially if I'm wanting to use assemblies in the Takeoff tool. So if I'm adding this as each, this will allow me to use this under the count feature. If I'm adding, let's say maybe flooring, I want to add square foot. If I'm doing cubed yards in my Takeoff, it will not allow me to use this assembly. So just really important that you are keeping that in mind when you're creating your assembly. You can upload an image for the assembly. That will be just that cover image that will show on your estimate as well in that image section. And then here I can start adding items to my assembly. I'll add the pre-hung door from Home Depot. And then I'm just going to click add to assembly. And then now I'm going to add my additional items. Again, want to add that unit. And then additional items for this assembly. I need door hardware. And then I will add this at $30. And then I do want to make sure that I have my markup. So I'll do a 15% markup for all of these items. And this drop down here, again, you can do a fixed amount or percentage. And then let me add in my door hinges. I'll create a new item for this one as well. And then I will do this at $8. Again, we'll do that 15% markup on this. And then I'm also going to add my door installation labor. And then here I'm going to assign this as labor instead of material. And then my labor is going to be $50. Again, I'll add that 15% markup. So now this assembly will show me the total cost of my pre-hung door with all of those components added. One thing to mention, as you can see up here, this is automatically saved. Everything is going to auto save. So in your estimate, when you're adding items, it will auto save. It'll give you the little last saved at with the time and that green check mark, so you know that it's saved and you are good to go. Before I move back to our estimate, do we have any questions on creating an assembly?
I think that you are good to go back to the estimate. And when you get there, I do have some questions there.
Perfect. So we'll just pop back into our estimate. Again, I'm just going to go to my project. My estimates. And then, oh. Perfect. Sorry, I think my internet is a little laggy right now. Perfect. What were the questions on the estimate?
Yes. Can you show how to add pictures for the line items and how to turn that on?
Yes. So to turn on the pictures for line items, click on this customize button here. And then you're just going to toggle on where it says show images. Now I'm going to click save. And now it's going to give me the option to add an image. So if I click to add image, I can add up to 5 images for these items. And then I can upload an image. I can use an icon. So we have icons here, or I can use my company logo.
Okay, perfect. And then one more, let's see. Can you show how to hide and unhide the markup from your client?
Yes. So the way that you can do it in the estimate itself, click on these 3 dots, and then you can, obviously mine's hidden, so it's not going to say hide from client. It will say show to client. And now that I is gone. If I want to hide that, again, click on the 3 dots, hide from client, and it will go ahead and hide that. In here as well, and the markup is actually a perfect column to kind of demo this on, you can set default values. So maybe I have a default 15% markup that I want to set. I'm going to click set default value, put 15%. I'm going to save this. And now it's going to apply a 15% markup to every single line item on this estimate. Because this is now my default, when I create future estimates, it will also have that 15% markup.
Awesome.
Are there any other questions?
You can keep going.
Cool. And then on the 3 dots again, just to show everything else that's in this menu, I can rename the column from here. And then you can also remove it from the estimate by clicking remove from table. The other way that you can rename the column is just clicking into the column itself. And this will be true with any items on your estimate. You can click in and rename anything as needed so you can fully customize this for the project needs. And then with the dollar amount, let's say maybe I need to adjust this to 5,000. Again, same thing here. I can adjust this. A column I do want to make a call out on is going to be this tax column. So if you are applying a sales tax, you need to make sure that it is taxable, marked taxable. That way the estimate will know where it's applying that sales tax. Again, you can also set a default value. So I'm going to set the default as everything is taxable. Now I don't have to go line item by line item to assign these items as taxable. We're going to go ahead and add our assembly in to our estimate. So I'm going to click on my items, click on assembly, and then here's this pre-hung door that we just created. I'm going to go ahead and add this on. So as mentioned before, it's going to hide the items within the assembly from my client, and it will just show pre-hung door and what that cost is. If I need to adjust the quantity, as I adjust the quantity of the pre-hung door, this cost is going to adjust for me as well. Any questions before I move on to this top menu up here?
You are good to go.
Perfect. So up at the top here, we have our estimate menu as well. Under this actions tool, you're going to have the ability to approve the estimate on behalf of your client, decline it. If you click approve per line item, it will add an option for the client to approve and or decline on each line item. I can create an invoice of this estimate directly from this actions menu. I can create a change order. I can create purchase orders. I can duplicate this estimate. I can either duplicate it to the same project, or maybe I need this exact same estimate on another project that I'm working on, so I can duplicate this to another project. Saving as a template. So previously, when we were looking at how we can create an estimate, creating it from a template is one of the options. Save as template. I can name this template. And then I decide what sections of the estimate that I'm going to save in the template. I know we haven't quite yet gotten to the payment file, terms, condition, and memo section. We'll get there in just a moment. But I can, again, decide what am I carrying over in this template. Once I click save, now this template will be available for me to create future estimates from. I can download the estimate as a PDF. I can export this to Excel or print it. Merging estimates. So let's say that I have another estimate on this project and I want to merge the two. When I click merge estimate, it will show me any available estimate to merge with. A call out here is that the status has to be in draft or sent. If the estimate is approved, declined, or invoiced, you will not be able to merge the two documents. When I select the document, I would just click merge, and then it would merge those two documents together for me. I can download tear sheets from this estimate. I can archive it, or I can delete it. One call out with delete, once you delete it, it's gone. It's gone forever. So be very careful when you're using that delete button. If you are using it, make sure that you truly do want to delete it. If not, archive is going to be another best practice. It's always there for you to go back to. Before I move on to our other features, do we have any questions on that menu?
Nope, good to go.
Perfect. This is going to be the comment feature. So this feature is great. I can comment to my team or to my client. If I'm commenting to my team, just make sure that you're clicking on team so that that client is not seeing an internal comment. Maybe I need to comment to my team member and say, estimate good to go. Please approve before I send to the client. And then I'll go ahead and submit that. And now my team member will get my note. They can go in, comment back and say, yes, this is good to go. And then I can prepare to send that to my client. This is our automations tool, and this is where you can set your automations. So if I click edit to set up my automations, here are my next step triggers. So once I share, or once the estimate is approved, I can have the system automatically create an invoice and share it with the client, or I can keep the invoice in draft. I can also set an automated task. So maybe the client is not approving this by the 23rd, that due date that we set. So I want a task name to say follow up with client for estimate approval. And the system will automatically create that task for me. Client reminders. So maybe my client hasn't reviewed the estimate, so I want to send them a reminder saying, hey, review this. And I can fully adjust this text as well if I want it to be more in line with my company brand and the verbiage that I use. If an estimate is overdue, the system can send out a reminder as well. Again, here you can adjust the day range and then before or after it's due. And then if there's an overdue payment, I can set the reminder for that as well to automatically go to the client. This insert token feature here, this is going to be my smart text. So you can see here it says hi, contact first name. That will pull in the client's name based on the client assigned to the project. So no further action needed from me. Then there are a list of different tokens that I can use in the text itself. Thank you message. So once the client approves an estimate, they do get a thank you message. So again, you can customize this as needed. Maybe you want to say something a little bit different. You can fully customize this. Again, you have this insert token feature if you want to use any of these smart text options. Once you've set all of your automation preferences, go ahead and click save, and then it will save those for you. Here's a download button, so I can download as a PDF from here or that actions menu. Here's a link, so I can copy a link to my estimate if I want to maybe send it to a team member. I want to send it to the client via a link. I can do that here. I can create an invoice directly from this button here. And then preview. We'll preview the estimate in a moment. We're going to get to the payment section. Preview is something that you always want to do before you send it to a client. Make sure that it looks good to go. The things are hidden that you need hidden, like that markup column, and everything is showing that you need showing. Again, we'll get to this button in just a moment. And then send, I can send it directly from here. We'll look at that send button as well. Are there any questions on the comment feature, automations, or any of these other tools?
No, you were good to go.
Perfect. So I'll scroll down to my payment section. Here's going to be our total section. Something to keep in mind. I know it does have this markup broken out. If I have the markup column hidden from my client, they are not going to see this on their estimate. It's just going to show for me so I can see those dollar amounts. Discount. I can apply a discount to the estimate as a whole. I can do it as either a percentage or a dollar amount. Maybe I want to give this client a 10% discount. I'll go ahead and apply that, and it will automatically apply to the total on the estimate. Tax. So we marked those columns taxable, or those items taxable, I'm sorry. So I can assign a sales tax. I have my preset tax rates here, but I can also create a new tax rate from this screen if needed. I'll put in the name, the rate, and the agency, click save, and my tax rate will be there. Or I can go ahead and just assign an existing tax rate and it will apply that tax to the document. And then of course, here's going to be that total for my client. The bottom here, we have our payment section. So you can set up a deposit payment. You can set up different payment schedule items. So maybe my client wants to make 3 payments. I'll go ahead and schedule another payment. And then here I can adjust the cost. So maybe here I want them to pay 35%. This will automatically default to that remaining amount. And then I'll say this is payment 2. I can also set due dates. So this I want to be paid when they approve it. Maybe the second payment I want them to make by July 16th, and this payment I want them to make by the end of July. With payments, you can take online payments through House Pro. So when I send this to my client can click Pay Now and make an online payment. Your client can pay via credit card or ACH. The credit card transaction fee will be 3.6%. ACH is 1.1%. And you can choose whether you're offsetting that to the client. If you do offset it to the client, when they click that Pay Now button, they will see the payment amount as well as the transaction fee and then the total. So there's no like hidden transaction fee. It's all broken out there for them. You will also have the ability, if you'd like, to pay the fee yourself. You can do that as well. We have a third option where you can embed the fee into your markup, and the system will just automatically generate that 3.6% additional markup to cover your transaction fee cost. I don't have my online payments set up in my demo account, but right below here, if you do have your online payments set up, it will give you a drop down with those 3 options that we just discussed. Do we have any questions on payments or online payments, Abby?
Nope, you're good to go.
Cool. One more thing with payments, we do offer you can offer your client financing. We do have the home equity line of credit loans through Figure that can show on your estimate to your client. And then we also do have the personal loans through Intuit, Credit Karma. And then we do have loans through Green Sky. So you have a few different options where if you do need to offer financing to your clients, you can fully do that as well. And then if you don't have your online payments set up, there is a quick button to set up your online payments. If you need to set them up just through House Pro, when you come to your financials menu, click on online payments. This will take you to that online payment page and you can get everything set up and squared away and start taking those online payments. Below the payments, we do have our file section. So maybe I need to upload a floor plan or a document for my client. I can click to attach files. This will give me any files that are already uploaded on the project I can add. I can upload files directly from my computer or device. I can also integrate with my Google Drive and I can upload a file from my Google Drive to this estimate. When you do upload a file to the estimate, it will also be saved in that files and photos section that you can go back and reference. I will just add a file here from my computer. And then once I have that document selected, it's going to tell me that it's uploading. And now I have the ability to go ahead and attach that file. Terms and conditions. So I have a few different ways I can add terms and conditions. I can either type them out. I can copy and paste from other terms and conditions that I have previously. And then I have my text editing options down below. I also have this My Templates field. I personally have a template already created, so I'll show you what this looks like. When I go into My Templates, here's my estimate terms and conditions. I'll go ahead and add that to my estimate. And then I can save this as a default. If I save this as a default on any future estimates I create, these terms and conditions will automatically populate for me, saving me time, one less step on my end. I don't have to go in and click to add my terms and conditions. And then here we have our memo. So you can name this anything you want. If I want to say cover note, maybe I want this to say memo. And then another call out, you'll see these 6 dots. I can drag and drop these sections. So I can put memo above my terms and conditions. I can put terms and conditions above my files so you can fully customize the flow of this estimate. The memo is going to work the same as our terms and conditions. So I have templates, and again, I can set that as a default. Again, exact same as the terms and conditions. Here is my signature field. So for estimates, I can require an e-signature. And then if I click on my pencil here, I can adjust the company signature title. client signature title, maybe I want to put their name. Again, I can customize this. And then for my signature, I can have it be text or I can write my own signature. Here's the activities stream. So I created this estimate on June 19th. Once we send the estimate to the client, it will say that it's been sent. If the client has approved the estimate, it will show us that it's been approved. Again, if they made payment, it'll show us that they made payment and that date. If we've converted to an invoice, it will have that full activity stream and it will show by date that those items occurred. Abby, do we have any questions before we go to the preview feature?
You are good to keep going.
Perfect. So just going to click on my preview button here. Again, always best practice to preview the document. I want to make sure that everything that I'm sending to my client is exactly what I want them to see. Customize what my client can see. Pricing here. So right now I have them showing the detailed pricing along with category pricing. I can adjust this as needed. I can even hide that breakdown. Columns, so I can hide specific columns. Maybe I don't need them seeing the auto numbering. I can hide that. I don't need them to see the type, unit. I can hide all of those. And then based on my preferences, it will adjust this estimate. Item details, I don't really have images, so I'm going to hide that image feature. And now it's just going to be those line item names. And then approval, electronic signature. If I want the approved per line item, I can turn that on. And then you'll see that check and X here, or I can turn that off. If I'm looking at my estimate in preview and I need to make some edits to it, just back to edit, it'll take me right back to that screen we were just on. Again, I can comment back to my team or client, download, I can copy the link, or I can send this directly to my client. I can adjust my message to the client. Call out here, I can email and I can also text it to them. I know in today's day and age, everyone is texting and texting is just so much easier. So you do have that ability, or you can send both, or if you want to attach it as a PDF, you can. Once you click send, this will be sent to your client. They will receive an email, and then this will be the contents of the email, basically saying, here's your estimate, giving a little preview. They'll go ahead and click view estimate, and it will bring them to that estimate. I'll copy the link just to show what this looks like to the client. It's going to look the exact same as our preview screen. A call out I do want to make, a question I've gotten before. So as my client scrolls to the bottom to go ahead and approve, they'll just need to make sure they click approve and sign. That way it saves that signature and it marks this estimate as approved. You can see here the client's going to have a comment section. This is great. Now I have that comment from the client, but he'll approve and sign, and now our estimate has been approved. Do we have any questions on the previewing, anything?
No, you were good.
Perfect. So I'll go back to edit. Now that this has been approved, I can create my invoices. I can create my purchase orders. For instance, this pre-hung door, this is going to be a perfect item to show for the purchase order. Again, I can create a purchase order for the entire estimate, or I can just do it for specific items. I'll go ahead and click create purchase order. And then I will have to assign a vendor to these items so that it knows who it's creating this purchase order for. So let's see, the door hardware. I'll do build.com, door hinges. And then I can also now assign a purchase order to a subcontractor. So I can go ahead and grant this contractor access. And then when I click create purchase order, it will create separate purchase orders based on the vendor or the sub. So this is really great. You don't have to go in and manually do it. The system will do this all for you. Any questions on the creating of a purchase order?
You are good.
Perfect. And then once this has now been approved, I can go ahead and create an invoice. I can either do it by the full remaining balance, or I can also do it by percentage. So this is progressive invoicing. Maybe I just want to invoice my client a certain percentage at a time. So maybe I just want to invoice 20% right now. I'll go ahead and click create invoice. And then this is just telling me that it's adjusting the rounding. So I'll create this invoice. The invoice is going to look the exact same as our estimate. You'll just notice it now says invoice and has an invoice number. It will show me the percentage that's been invoiced and the percentage remaining. And then it does link to the document. So I can go back to my estimate if needed just by clicking that link. And then again, back on the invoice itself, this is going to be the same as on the estimate, but with the payments, I can manually log a payment. If your client is making an online payment, those will automatically be logged and it will automatically log in that activity stream. And then just to show you, I know we talked about the activity stream. It's going to show me when it was sent, invoiced, all of that good stuff. So if I scroll down to my activity stream here, it will show me that it was created. I turned that approved per line item on and off. I sent the estimate, client signed it, and then I converted this to this invoice. This is linked, so I can always click this, and then I can always view signed estimate as well. If you have your QuickBooks Online account integrated with House Pro, your estimates will automatically sync over to your QuickBooks Online account. It is a one-way sync. So House Pro will sync to QuickBooks, but it will push all that information once you have your online or your QuickBooks Online account integrated and all of your mapping set. And then we did talk about this sync to budget button, so I can click to sync to budget, and now this is going to be synced to my budget tool. So all of these items will be on that budget, and I can look at my overall project budget across all of the documents I have created. You'll see on our estimate, it's now saying that it's partially invoiced. We haven't fully invoiced it yet. If I fully invoice, it would change to invoiced. Do we have any questions?
Can you show how to take your estimate and invoice and bill for only a few certain things on that estimate?
Yes. So the way that you would do that, same thing that we did with the purchase order. I just want to click specific items. Once I have those specific items clicked, then I'm going to go ahead and click create invoice, and it's only going to create for those items I have selected. Again, you can use that create invoice button. Also under this actions menu, you have your create invoice. This will be the same if maybe I just need to create a a change order for just one item. Maybe this I need a change order for. Same thing here. I can go ahead and create a change order just for that one line item that I have selected.
And then when the change orders are approved by the client, does it sync back to the estimate?
That is a good question. I'm not 100% sure on that. Do you know, Abby?
Let me double check and I will let you know in just 1 second.
Yeah, I'm not 100% certain on that. Good question. And then just before we kind of get to the end of the webinar, I want to show you one last way that you can create an estimate in House Pro. So just going to go back to my project and I'm going to go to our takeoffs. So I can do a material takeoff and then create an estimate from that takeoff that I've created. So I'm going to go to my takeoff. I already have a takeoff created. I've already done my measurements. So here are all my measurements. I'm going to go to review and estimate. And then from here, I'll create a new estimate with all of these measurements. Again, this functionality is going to be the same as the previous estimate that we were looking at, but now I have all of my measurements pulled in. Are there any questions?
Yes. So regarding the change orders, so typically changes happen after the estimate has been finalized, sent, and approved. So that's the reason that those changes don't push back. And so once your client does approve that change order, you can use the budgeting feature to track things. So that allows you to bring in your estimate, your change orders, and your actuals so that you can track and see where you're over or under and see those dollar values assigned out. And then one other question. So how do you bill for just a percentage of a line item?
That is a good question. I'm not sure if you can bill for a percentage of the line item. I believe you'd have to use that progressive invoicing feature, but it's going to be for the full invoice. Are you?
If you click the three dots to the right of the line item and then hit create documents and invoice, you can do by percentage and you can do, let's say, 50% of that line item. And that will do that for you.
Good question. I did not know that. So thanks for that insight, Abby.
Yeah.
Yes, those three dots. Perfect. Any other questions? I think that was all from my end.
Yep, I think that we just about covered it. If you have any other lingering questions, feel free to drop them in the chat now. And we thank you all for being here so much. And we hope you learned something new today about estimates. And as always, if you have questions, feel free to use the green chat icon at the bottom right of the screen. We also have a forum if you guys haven't seen that. So Orion, if you'll go to forum.house.com, you guys can definitely use that as a resource. It's linked to your House Pro account, so you can have conversations with other contractors, talk about different things like, talk about business lessons, talk about best practices using different features. Definitely get in there, get involved, and create that community with other contractors using House Pro. So thank you all for being here. Super appreciate it. And we look forward to seeing you guys again soon.